I guess hell has frozen over, but she is in the gym practicing shots. And as you can imagine, there's real reaction to this.
Meanwhile, across the league, Indiana Fever rookies were putting in work, and it wasn't staged. This wasn't some flashy, edited montage with mood lighting. It was real. An uncut look at Caitlin Clark, Michaela Timpson, Bree Hall, and Yvonne Ejim. Sweating, grinding, communicating. Their chemistry, instant. Their effort, unmistakable. The contrast couldn't be clearer. While Angel's video felt like an Instagram reel chasing engagement, the Fever's practice tape looked like a blueprint for a championship team. In a bold new interview, Mitchell exposed the truth. Veterans are lining up to join Indiana. The culture is stronger than ever. And yes, Caitlin Clark is part of the reason why. The chemistry, off the charts. The energy, different. The trust, real. And what Mitchell revealed about her relationship with Clark will have Swoopes backtracking fast. And when a veteran like Mitchell welcomes a rising star like Clark with open arms and calls it fun, competitive, and refreshing, it tells you one thing. This locker room isn't divided, it's unified, and it's dangerous. Sheryl Swoopes claimed no one wanted to play in Indiana. She said the culture was broken, that stars were uneasy, that veterans stayed away. She sat down for her first major interview since training camp opened, and she was glowing. Not defensive, not careful, just brutally honest and proud. She described the new atmosphere as fresh, comparing it to pulling warm clothes straight out of the dryer.
For us, with the new atmosphere, new coaching, everything is just absolutely new. It feels really good.
That's right. Before Clark ever played a WNBA minute, she and Mitchell had already connected through mutual respect, competition, and conversation.
Up-tempo, fast. Obviously, how me, C-Squared, those guys are. But I think when we cultivate DB and your older ones in it, I think we're going to have more of a winning culture and not just playing fast. So now we get the best of both worlds.
This was an experienced veteran choosing to double down on her commitment to the franchise. Swoopes also tried to paint the Fever as a team without direction, but Mitchell couldn't stop talking about how different it feels now that Coach Stephanie White has taken over. She highlighted how players are being treated like individuals, not pieces on a board, and that new leadership is exactly what they needed.
It might have been open run, it might have just working out, but we've already kickstarted how we want to play in here, so we can do it here.
And if you're still clinging to the idea that Clark's stardom is creating resentment, this interview should end that myth forever. Therefore, when Mitchell, the very player Swoopes accused of being unhappy, goes out of her way to uplift Caitlin Clark as a teammate, it doesn't just prove they're aligned.
He just caught a lob. She's out here catching lobs in this workout footage.
So here's the question. Is Angel Reese building a basketball legacy or just a personal brand? What you're about to see may change everything. The WNBA is no longer just about who scores the most points. It's about who's serious and who's just pretending. And right now, Angel Reese is under the microscope. So now the question becomes, what happens when the most criticized rookie and the most underrated vet finally get the backing they deserve? What happens when your biggest critics turn out to be your greatest motivators? And what happens when a team the media dismissed, the one Sheryl Swoopes said players were running from, becomes the one everyone else is running toward? Because if Mitchell, Clark, and the Fever were supposed to fall apart under pressure, why do they look more unified than ever? She's pulling teammates aside, calling out switches, leading fast breaks, and most importantly, holding herself accountable. That's leadership. That's what the WNBA needs. There's a reason Indiana isn't worried about flashy social media moments, because they're focused on banners, not billboards. They're building chemistry, building trust, and building a team that can go the distance. Meanwhile, Angel's clip may have been 9 seconds, but it exposed years of bad habits. On the other side, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever rookies. No flash, no filters, just raw, relentless work. Michaela Timpson is catching lobs like a seasoned vet. Bree Hall is knocking down spot-up threes with near 40% accuracy. Yvonne Ejim is muscling through defenders with pro-level physicality. And Caitlin, she's doing what she's always done, making everyone around her better. At just 22 years old, she's already acting like a floor general. And her message was simple. This team is different now. She didn't sugarcoat last year. She admitted it didn't feel right. The energy was off. The culture wasn't clicking. But this year, it's already better.
It makes it easier. I remember this time last year, it didn't feel good. So we had to get that in order first, for people to start playing well. It's like a domino effect. But I think once your culture is kind of established, how you guys see it now, I think it makes everything else way easier. I don't know if that makes sense, but way easier. It makes sense.
This isn't just a response, it's a reputation collapse. Because when you see how united this team really is, you'll realize the WNBA's biggest critic just became its most misinformed voice. And the Fever, they just became the league's most dangerous team. When Sheryl Swoopes went on her podcast and said players didn't want to be in Indiana, it sent a shockwave through the WNBA world.
There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Caitlin Clark didn't just show up. She was setting tempo, dropping dimes, running advanced sets like she'd been with the team for years. Her court vision was unmatched, threading passes through defenders like it was nothing. She wasn't playing for the camera, she was playing to win. And the rookies. Michaela Timpson was catching lobs. Bree Hall was knocking down shots. Yvonne Ejim was finishing at the rim with power. These weren't gimmicks. They were proving they belonged in the league. Swoopes tried to frame Clark's rise as a media stunt.
When everybody else, they're quick to throw stats, right? It's like, oh, well, this is what she did. Like somebody's like, oh, Sheryl Swoopes only scored 34 points in the WNBA. Caitlin scored 35. So you can't use stats when it benefits you.
She tried to question the respect inside the locker room. She tried to divide the team with outdated narratives. But she missed the most important part. This isn't about attention. But after what just went viral, that statement might not hold up much longer. Angel dropped a quick 9-second workout clip.
Angel Reese has put out footage of her working out in the gym. It's just a few seconds, like 9 seconds. Now, remember, Angel Reese has said to us that people are not just watching basketball for one player, they're watching because of me too.
And the internet had questions. Sloppy footwork, awkward jumpers, no real structure. It looked more like a TikTok teaser than a pro athlete's prep. In the same interview where she tore down Swoopes' narrative, Mitchell lit up when asked about Clark.
It actually doesn't feel different. From the moment I met Caitlin and the moment she met me, like I said, when you respect your teammates and respect as competitors, it makes for a better relationship. It makes for a better dynamic, and I think that me and C-Square established that 2 years ago now. So I think everything with us is going to always be kosher and really put together because we've already established who we were as people and as players and how we can help make each other better. So it feels good to me already.
In fact, Mitchell went a step further. She said, everyone wants to be here. She said it clearly. She said it with confidence. And she made it clear this wasn't just lip service.
I think the best part right now is everyone wants to be here. You know, it's really downplayed. It sounds cliche, but it's nothing like being where you want it and everybody feels value in order to go have a good training camp, have a good preseason, so you can have a good first game when the season starts. But I think right now it's just that good feeling of everybody feel like, hey, I want to be here and I want to compete. So I think that's the first step.
But what just happened in training camp completely destroys that narrative. Kelsey Mitchell didn't just respond. She dismantled everything Swoopes claimed, with receipts. In a bold new interview, Mitchell exposed the truth. Veterans are lining up to join Indiana. The culture is stronger than ever. And yes, Caitlin Clark is part of the reason why. This isn't just a response, it's a reputation collapse. Because when you see how united this team really is, you'll realize the WNBA's biggest critic just became its most misinformed voice. But the real shock came when fans zoomed in on Angel Reese's shooting mechanics.
One person to beat. Tough.
Okay, that's all we get to see. 9 seconds. And in these 9 seconds, we can see that there's some work to be done.
Her guide hand, the one that's supposed to keep her form steady, was crossing her face like she was dabbing mid-shot. Her elbows flared out wide. Her wrist snapped inwards. It looked more like someone swatting a fly than a player aiming for a bucket. On one side, you've got Angel Reese, a media darling, a walking headline, and a self-declared face of the league. She's charismatic, she's marketable, and she knows how to grab attention. But behind the likes and the endorsements, there's a growing concern. Is she actually improving as a basketball player? Every time she steps on the court, she's still dragging her pivot foot. Her shot mechanics haven't changed. Her body control is inconsistent. And most alarmingly, her coaching staff doesn't seem to be correcting any of it. Instead of sharpening her tools, Angel seems to be polishing her image. But in the WNBA, image fades fast. At the same time, Caitlin and her squad are proving they're not here to play around. Every drill has purpose. Every rep has meaning. There's leadership, there's trust, there's grit.
But Timpson still goes up and grabs. There's another defender there. You know what? Never doubt the real point guard. Never doubt that. If you're throwing it too much towards the left hand, there is another defender coming in here. So never doubt Caitlin Clark. That's bad by me. But a good catch, a very, very good catch. Getting it down, bunning it back up. A very solid catch.
And while Angel's clip might rack up views, views don't win games. Fundamentals do.
Getting it down, bunning it back up. A very solid catch.
And while Angel's clip might rack up views, views don't win games. Fundamentals do, because right now, every second she spends curating her brand is another second Caitlin Clark spends crafting a legacy. It's not about who has the bigger following, it's about who's ready for war when the whistle blows. And when the fourth quarter hits, when the game is tied, when the cameras are off. Only one thing will matter: who put in the work. Therefore, while Angel might be the star of the internet, Caitlin and the Indiana Fever rookies are preparing to be the stars of the season. The difference? One side is chasing content, the other is chasing championships. Sheryl Swoopes claimed no one wanted to play in Indiana. She said the culture was broken, that stars were uneasy, that veterans stayed away.
No, but players who will be free agents next year, there's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
But everything we've seen and everything we've heard says the opposite. Kelsey Mitchell stayed, DeWanna Bonner signed, Natasha Howard joined, Sydney Colson brought championship DNA, and Brianna Turner, who many thought would clash with Caitlin Clark, is instead running flawless sets with her and embracing the challenge. These women aren't avoiding the fever, they're flocking to it. This is coming from a veteran who's averaged nearly 20 points per game for years, and she's openly praising the basketball IQ of someone in just her second season. And it wasn't just compliments, it was clarity.
Oh, girl, see square. She's keep, I think she does a really great job of I think Caitlin specifically is a household name, and I think that she's gonna continue to, bring in the arena and kind of like put us in a position to have all the fans in the world. So, I obviously hats off to her, but I give her grace because it's a lot to take on. I think she's done a really good job with it.
Mitchell explained how their styles complement each other. Clark's court vision opens driving lanes. Her range stretches the defense. Her presence makes life easier for scorers like Mitchell because now defenders can't load up on one threat.
Timing, setting and using screens, communication on the defensive end, coverage on the defensive end, and then when we make mistakes, we got to play through it.
And it wasn't just Caitlin Clark lighting it up. Rookies like Michaela Timpson and Bree Hall were locking in, catching lobs, running elite sets, and showing they're built for the league.
You've got Aaliyah Boston immediately going and talking with Michaela Timpson. Immediately. And there is Yvonne Ejim and Bree Hall. So the three of them are here. So running the pick and roll, which hopefully they do run a bit of. Ejim, open layup. Okay, Bree Hall with some post work. Spot up shooting. In fairness, that is what Bree Hall, if she does make the team, is going to do. Oh. Did we just see that? Obviously, there is the pick and roll. But did we just see the athletic Michaela Timpson?
I'm going to go back just a little bit. All right, so this arm here, this is her left arm. I'm right-handed, so when I demonstrate something, it's going to be the opposite for me because I'm right-handed. But you can see this arm right here is pretty good. The shooting arm, which would be her left arm, I always say it's kind of like a waiter carrying a tray. The off arm, which is really supposed to guide the other one, is a problem. As you can see, it totally covers her face. It's crossed over her her face, which is odd.
In the WNBA, these mistakes don't go unnoticed. Bad habits get punished. And in Angel's case, no one around her seemed willing to fix them.
And then her palm is facing her on the inside, which is kind of weird. I don't know how you do that.
Coach White, she's giving this team its identity, built on accountability, versatility, and culture. Not hype, not marketing, just results. And maybe that's what's most threatening to someone like Sheryl Swoopes. Because if this Fever team really is for real, if Mitchell and Clark really are aligned, it means the WNBA isn't just changing. It means it's evolving without permission from the old guard. She tried to question the respect inside the locker room. She tried to divide the team with outdated narratives. But she missed the most important part. This isn't about attention. This is about alignment. Mitchell and Clark trust each other. That trust is growing into chemistry. That chemistry is turning into momentum. And that momentum, it's starting to look like a problem for every other team in the league. Because if Mitchell, Clark, and the Fever were supposed to fall apart under pressure, why do they look more unified than ever? That's not just a redemption arc. That's a revolution.